Joining me now is Niamh Ui Bhriain, pro-life supporter and spokesperson for the Life Institute, and Irish senator and pro-choice supporter Aodhán Ríordáin. Let's start with you, Niamh, if we can. Your reaction to the fact that there will be this referendum and a date has finally been set.
Yeah, sure. Can I just say first, Rebecca, could your report there have been any more biased? You know, how long was that segment? You gave probably 5 seconds to Cora Sherlock to make a response.
Well, we like to put both views across, which is why we're speaking to you, and obviously we both have both sides there. So your reaction then, do you welcome this change?
Your news report there was incredibly biased, and I think that's partly the reason why people who might be listening to your programme don't understand what's actually happening here in Ireland. First of all, there is very little public demand for a referendum on abortion. If you look at the exit polls, for example, that were taken by RTE, or national broadcaster, after the last election, just 2% of people saw this issue as a priority, and probably 1% of those were pro-life people. So you've got a very, very small amount of people in this country for whom this referendum is a priority. What you're seeing today is you're seeing that abortion campaigners in Ireland are incredibly well financed by people like George Soros. WikiLeaks have shown they're getting huge finance from abroad, and we've got a media here which is absolutely supportive of a referendum. But if you look at opinion polls, you see something entirely different emerging. You see that most people in this country, for example, according to an Irish Times opinion poll, do not support abortion on demand. In fact, only 19% support something like the British model of abortion. And most people in this country do not agree with those who are marching today. Can I add as well that the Rally for Life in July saw far greater numbers take out to the streets. Almost 80,000 people take to the streets demanding that the 8th Amendment be saved. And it would be nice to see some of the international media covering that side of the debate in Ireland.
Well, it's good to have your views. Let's bring in Aodhán now. Your reaction to those thoughts, if you will.
Well, in fairness, any amount of opinion polls in Ireland have shown that Irish people want our abortion laws they consider them to be too restrictive. We have a written constitution. The only way that our constitution can be changed is with a referendum. The last referendum was in 1983. Anybody under 50 years of age didn't have a chance to vote in that referendum. So actually what we want to do is to have that opinion poll, to give the people of Ireland that opportunity to voice their view on this important issue. We have 4,000 women a year who travel to Britain for abortion. If that facility wasn't available to them, I imagine this situation would have been resolved an awful long time ago. We have very restrictive abortion law, only in the cases where a woman's life is at risk or suicidal. That was less than 5 years ago, against the strong objection from the pro-life campaign. So what we are saying quite clearly in the Labour Party and many political parties in Ireland is it's time for Ireland to have.
OK, Niamh, let's bring you back in if we can, because we're just struggling with the audio a bit. Niamh, I want to ask you, the UN has criticised abortion laws in Ireland. They are the most restrictive in Western Europe. How do you feel hearing that criticism from the likes of the UN?
Well, can I say first that it's interesting that Aodhán and other abortion campaigners say that they want a referendum because they want people to be able to voice their views. And this week, the big news story around abortion has actually not been a narrative about the March for Choice. It's actually been about the disgraceful and shameful behaviour of abortion campaigners who hit the headlines this week because they tried to silence rape survivors who wanted to organise a meeting to talk about the fact that they believed that abortion was not the best answer after rape. These were women who had been traumatised, who wanted to tell their stories. Abortion campaigners here in Ireland tore down their posters. They conducted an extremely aggressive campaign against hotels who wanted to host the meeting, and in the end these women, these rape survivors, were forced to hold their meetings outside. The United Nations is speaking like on its head on this matter. There's nothing in the international human rights law that says that abortion is a human right. And you will notice that it is the United Nations committees which are making these findings, none of which are binding on Ireland. We are very proud in this country that we protect both mother and baby. In the last 11 years, our abortion rates have fallen significantly because we're providing better supports to women.
But Niamh, can you see why people feel these laws are a bit outdated?
Why are they, like, the right to life cannot be outdated. You've got a human right, so to live, so do I, so does Aodhán. Would you put your right to life to a vote? Would you put my right to life to a vote? The only reason we're even discussing this is because the people whose right to life you're putting to a vote are too vulnerable and out of sight to speak for themselves. And it is our opinion, it's backed up by the studies, that abortion...
OK, let's bring in Aodhán again if we can, and just let him respond to that. Can you see, Aodhán, why, from a religious point of view, people feel that the unborn child should have its own rights?
Absolutely no difficulty with people having their own personal point of view, but this is an issue of choice. We're not demanding that anybody make a particular choice or go down a particular route, and that's the argument of the pro-choice message. You can be pro-life and yet feel that we should have a referendum and that the 8th Amendment or having abortion law doesn't belong in the Constitution. And again, what we want is for the people to have their say. We have right to abortion information. We have the right to travel to have an abortion, yet we don't allow that facility in Ireland. I think the time has come, and I don't think anybody should be afraid of allowing the people to have that discussion. And then I feel, and the Labour Party feels, that the legislators should then do their job in Parliament and legislate for abortion law in Ireland.
And Aodhán, what kind of impact are these restricted rules and laws having on women in Ireland?
Well, it means that they have to go abroad. It means that they have to leave their families, that they have to go abroad to the UK normally and feel like criminals. In cases of fatal fetal abnormality, they go through a very traumatic situation. It's just intolerable. And thankfully now, women who have been through these circumstances are beginning to speak up, and their partners are speaking up. And the shame that was attached to it is no longer as prevalent as it may have been in the past. And I think when those stories come to the fore over the course of the next number of months, people from both sides of the debate, hopefully respectfully, will be able to realise that we need to put this question to the people. And if people are afraid of that debate or afraid of that referendum, well, then they shouldn't be, because I think as a mature republic, we should be in a position to allow the people to change the Constitution if they wish to do so, and to remove the 8th Amendment from the Constitution, and so that any law in this area should be legislated just like every other parliament in Europe through our own native Oireachtas.
OK, and final word with you, Niamh. We've seen hundreds and hundreds of people march about this. Can you see people's point of view that they want change?
Can I just say something here, Rebecca? You tried to characterise my views as a religious viewpoint. This is nothing to do with religion. This is to do with the fact that every human being has a right to life, and that you cannot be pro-life and legalise abortion, as Aodhán says, because you can't be pro-life and take away the right to life of another human being. In this country, the majority of people feel that we can do better for women in crisis rather than tear their children's lives apart and dump their bodies in the trash. There's nothing progressive or compassionate about abortion. It's a barbaric solution to unexpected pregnancy, and the most progressive thing Ireland can do right now, the most positive thing we can do for our women and our babies, is to preserve the 8th Amendment and continue helping women who have crisis pregnancies.
OK, Aodhán and Niamh, thanks ever so much. Fierce debate there. I'm sure that will run and run.